In this position, we can play knight takes e5, sacrificing our queen. And after bishop takes queen, we play bishop takes f7 check. King to e7 is forced and knight to d5 is a checkmate. The opening. Let's start from the beginning. e4, e5. Both sides take control of the center with their e-pawns. White develops the knight toward the center, attacking the e5 pawn. Black plays d6, reader defense, defending the e5 pawn and preparing to develop the other pieces. White develops the second knight to c3, putting even more pressure on the center. Black responds with knight to c6, developing the knight and adding another defender to the e5 pawn. White develops the bishop to c4, putting pressure on the f7 square near black's king. And now black plays bishop to g4, pinning the knight on f3 to the queen on d1. This is the important part. The knight on f3 is currently protecting the queen from the bishop on g4. So if the knight moves, black bishop can capture the queen. White plays s3, asking the bishop where it wants to go. Black retreats to h5 and this is where the trap is ready. The knight on f3 is still pinned. The queen is sitting directly behind it and black believes the e5 pawn is safe. But white has a tactical idea. And now comes the move that makes legal trap or the queen sacrifice. Knight takes on e5. This is the key move of legal trap. White takes the pawn on e5 but more importantly, white is deliberately sacrificing the queen. Remember, the knight and f3. White's currently shielding the queen on d1 from black's bishop on g4. By playing knight takes e5, white moves that knight away and leaves the queen completely exposed. And black can take it. Bishop takes d1. Black captures the queen. So yes, white has just sacrificed the queen. But this isn't a blunder. White has calculated that the queen is worth giving up because there is a forced checkmate waiting for black's king. The queen sacrifice is only the beginning. Now let's see how white finishes the trap. A checkmate. After black accepts the queen sacrifice with bishop takes d1, white doesn't try to win the queen back. Instead, the attack begins. Bishop takes f7 check. White captures the pawn on f7 and gives check. Black has only one move, king to e7. And now comes the final move, knight to d5 checkmate. The knight on d5 controls e7 and f6, while the bishop on f7 controls e8 and e6. Knight on e5 controls d7 and protects f7 bishop. The king has nowhere to escape, and black's pieces can't stop the check. So white sacrificed the queen on move 6, forced the king to e7 and then finished the game with knight to d5 checkmate. That's the beauty of Liger's trap. The queen sacrifice isn't about winning material, it's about setting up the checkmate. Sidelines for black. Now what happens if black sees the queen sacrifice and decides not to take the queen? Let's go back to this position where we sacrifice our queen with knight takes e5. Instead of bishop takes d1, black can play knight takes e5. Black captures the knight on e5, but white has another tactical shot. Queen takes on s5. White takes the bishop on s5. Black can continue with knight takes c4. And now white plays queen to b5 check. White gives check and keep the pressure on black's king. Black plays c6. White simply takes the knight. Queen takes c4. And after all of this, white is a pawn up and has the better position. So knight takes e5 avoids the immediate checkmate, but black still doesn't get a good result from the position. But there is actually a better way for black to deal with the trap, and it comes before white even plays knight takes e5. What if we don't play s3? Now let's go back even further. What happens if white doesn't play s3 in the first place? Here, instead of s3, what if white immediately play knight takes e5? But this time the queen sacrifice idea doesn't work. Black simply responds knight takes e5. Black's knight from c6 captures the knight on e5, and now black is better. So this shows us why s3 is such an important part of Liger's trap. White first needs to play s3 and force the bishop to s5. Only then does the tactical idea with knight takes e5 work. So if you are trying to play Liger's trap as white, don't rush with knight takes e5. Make sure you have played s3 first. Best continuation for black. Let's go back to move number 5. After s3, instead of retreating the bishop with bishop to s5, black has a much better option. Bishop takes f3. Black immediately removes the knight on f3, which is the key piece behind the trap. White can recapture, queen takes f3, and now black simply continues with knight to f6. Black has avoided the queen sacrifice and more importantly completely stopped the mating attack. So if you are playing black, remember this move. Bishop takes f3. Don't retreat the bishop to s5 and allow Liger's trap as flag.